What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is James from 𝘍𝙍𝙀𝙆𝙄, and you might remember about a week ago I put a video out saying that Liverpool are not done in the transfer market and that they would be coming back in for some late deals. This guy was having none of it. However, lo and behold, Liverpool are back in the market and it looks like we are very close to some late deals. We're going to go over some of those potential late deals in this video, but before we do, don't forget to give the video a like if you do enjoy the content, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on everything going on at Liverpool, especially in this exciting period of these late deals. Everything's going to happen this week, if it's going to happen at all, so it's crazy times. But let's get into it because we've got a number of players to talk about, and I'll start with the big one. It's Federico Chiesa of Juventus, and that's where we're going to start with this. So this one broke late last night via Fabrizio Romano, who said that Liverpool make contact for Federico Chiesa. Now, we don't need to get into the reliability aspect of this. Everyone knows Fabrizio Romano, everyone knows he's a top tier journalist, but this was backed up by Liverpool's very own 𝘍𝙍𝙀𝙆𝙆𝙄, who said that Liverpool are weighing up interest in Juventus's Federico Chiesa at this stage, so you know this one's for real. Now, since those tweets have come out, this deal has advanced even further and there are plenty more details on it that I'm going to get into in a second. But first, I want to talk about Chiesa and what he could potentially do at Liverpool, why they might be looking at him. So if you don't already know, he plies his trade as a left winger at Juventus. I say left winger because we'll get into that. He is very versatile across the front. When we say left winger, interestingly, he, despite being listed as a left winger, has played more games for Juventus off the right, and you can see with this little table here his positional data. Right wing 93 games compared to his left wing 61 games, which is actually less than he has played as a second striker at 62 games. So interestingly, he's very versatile. You can see from that his effectiveness in those games as well, with the goals alongside it. So not only can he play in all his positions, but he is actually effective in all his positions as well. So again, this gives us a massively versatile option in the attacking lineup. Goals and assists you can see for yourself. And on top of the ability to play across the front, he's played many games as an advanced midfield on both sides of the pitch as well. So this guy is the definition of versatility. He's 26 years old, which, you know, could be better, but again, it means he's got plenty of experience and he's not too old. Like, there's plenty of time in him. If he was going to make it a mainstay at Liverpool, he's got plenty of time. Biggest assets being his pace and his high attacking threat. And the massive thing for this, and there'll be more on this in a second when I dive into the details of this deal, but he's very, very cheap. It is an unbelievable deal. Plenty of experience in both Serie A and in the Champions League, which, you know, again, is a big deal for Liverpool. So you might be wondering what the downside is here and why he's so cheap. The biggest downside of Federico Chiesa is he is very injury prone. If you take a look at his injury data here, he had a major injury in the 21-22 season, and since then has had small muscular issues, missing a couple of games here and there, a handful of times. Now, that's not ideal. Liverpool have had their fair share of injury prone players in the past coming out from other leagues like Naby Keita and Thiago Alcantara, to name a few, and they've found, being injury prone in their old league, that it's only gotten even worse and exacerbated the issue when they've joined Liverpool, because the Premier League is faster paced and it's a higher intensity. So, you know, we could see a repeat of that. That's the downside. I'm just going to be honest about it. The difference, I think, is that it could be managed. He's probably coming into bench one for Salah, let's be honest. It's going to be a rotation option on that right wing, is my guess. We've got plenty of bodies on the left wing, and between 𝘍𝙍𝙀𝙆𝙄 and Darwin, we've probably got enough rotation there at the front. My guess is he's coming in to rotate with Mohamed Salah, so he won't play that often. So that's one way of managing it. And the second way is just that Arne Slot, if you actually look, I know it's only been 2 games, but his injury record so far in terms of keeping players fit is much better than it was under Jurgen Klopp, which is not a slight on Jurgen Klopp. It was just way more intense football. Sometimes we'd start a season and players would already be injured. So there is a big difference even 2 games in with Arne Slot. So maybe this can be managed. Maybe they've looked at the sports science aspect of it and said, you know what, I think we can manage this. As I said, it has just been small muscular injuries since that big one in 21-22. So it could be something we can get around. Since those initial tweets, the deal has advanced, and we've had an update from Fabrizio Romano that says, understand Chiesa has given his full availability to join Liverpool after initial talks. He's excited about this possibility and the contract won't be an issue. Juventus want Chiesa to leave and the asking price is around €15 million, which is going to be around just a little bit above £10 million, which is an incredible deal. And he finishes the tweet with the statement, deal on. So first of all, I mentioned earlier, like, this is an amazing deal. He's super cheap, and that is a crazy deal for the player that we're getting with the bags of experience he's got and the ability he's got on the ball. He was one of the most promising wingers a few seasons ago when Italy won the Euros. I mean, he almost single-handedly won that for them. Incredible player, but then massive setback with the injury. And so you might be wondering, why is he so cheap and why do Juventus want to get rid of him? And the simple answer is that they want to sell him this summer due to his high wages and to avoid losing him on a free next summer. The current new manager at Juventus doesn't feel that he suits their system. They're currently playing him mainly as a striker when he does get on the pitch, and that doesn't really play to his best assets. So they feel like they're not getting the best out of him when they do play him, and they're paying him too high a wage for a player that they're not getting the most out of. So that's why they want to move him on, and they'd rather move him on now than next summer because he will be free next summer. So it makes sense, and that's why the price is so low. So this is, we all know Liverpool love an opportunistic signing, and this is the very definition of that. This could be a very shrewd bit of business for Liverpool. I think it's definitely worth going in for. You've really got nothing to lose at that price. It's kind of similar to the time we signed 𝘍𝙀𝙼𝙆, except this guy's got way more experience and he is a much more proven goal scorer and attacking threat. So for now, we're gonna leave the Chiesa story there until it develops, but obviously make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on that. I'm gonna be keeping my eye on this situation as it develops, but there are more players to talk about as there's been more movement going on overnight. So we're gonna dive into that. We're gonna start with 𝘍𝙀𝙆 and the fact that Crystal Palace, according to 𝘍𝙀𝙀𝙁, Crystal Palace are leading the race to sign 𝘍𝙀𝙆 before the end of the transfer window. Now, 𝘍𝙀𝙀𝙁 and his reliability, it's a bit of an interesting one because last summer, he had the scoop on absolutely everything that was going on. He was first to come out with all of the stories, and a lot of them, most of them actually turned out to be accurate. And so I came into this window thinking, well, this guy knows what he's talking about, and so far in this window, he's kind of got everything wrong, I'm not gonna lie. So take this one with a pinch of salt for now, but we know 𝘍𝙀𝙆 is looking for a move, and Crystal Palace, interestingly, we know there's a number of clubs, including Liverpool, who are in for Marc Guéhi. If they lose Marc Guéhi, they will be looking for a centre-back. That could be 𝘍𝙀𝙆. So could this be linked to a move for Marc Guéhi? I don't know. Doesn't necessarily mean, if it is, that Marc Guéhi is going to go to Liverpool. However, Liverpool have also been linked with Branthwaite to Everton and Inacio as well. There's a number of ways that this could play out, but it likely is linked to Marc Guéhi leaving Crystal Palace. So any one of those players, I think, would come in if Liverpool sell 𝘍𝙀𝙆 to Crystal Palace, because if Liverpool do move 𝘍𝙀𝙆 on, they absolutely will sign a centre-back in this transfer window. So that just, it's a matter then of who is it and how quickly can they get the deal done, because we are in the final week of this transfer window. It's as simple as that. If this story develops, then I expect to see it develop very quickly. And finally, before we wrap this up, he also mentioned Anthony Gordon, and he says Anthony Gordon remains extremely keen on a potential move to Liverpool, and it remains to be seen if a deal can be agreed before the transfer deadline. Now, on this one, I'll just say it seems to me massively unlikely that this happens if we go and get Chiesa. We're not going to buy two players, especially two players that can play off the left wing. I actually expect both of these players to have been right wing options for Liverpool, even initially when they were looking at Anthony Gordon. But I think the only way this happens now is if Luis Diaz moves on, and it doesn't look like he's going to. I think it's way too late in the window for us to be moving a player on like that, one that's that important. So I don't think that's going to happen. However, I don't think this is the end of the Anthony Gordon saga. I can see us going back in next summer, especially if Mo Salah does depart the club, which, you know, the sad reality is that's highly likely at this stage. We still haven't heard anything about a contract renewal. He can talk to other clubs in January. I think to get this late in the day without any sort of talk about that renewal for both him and Virgil is worrying. Trent, I think, is a little bit different. I think he's kind of waiting it out. Once they know the lay of the land, that who's actually going, they can maybe up his wages. I think Trent's holding out for a bigger wage, if I'm being honest. But again, I can't even rule him out because we know Real Madrid are very interested. But I think, as I said, there'll be more on the Anthony Gordon saga next summer. I definitely don't think it's over, but I think it's very unlikely we do something in this window, especially if we get Chiesa. The big story, of course, is that Federico Chiesa's deal seems very advanced. The contract won't be an issue for Liverpool, which sounds like the player is agreed and is excited to come to Liverpool. It's all about whether Liverpool get that deal done. We've heard conflicting reports that he is waiting for Barcelona, but again, that's not been mentioned by Fabrizio Romano, who is probably the most reliable journalist in football transfers. So I'd expect to see movements on this Chiesa deal very, very soon because we're in the closing stages of the transfer window. So it's as simple as this, guys. If you want to stay up to date on that Chiesa story, make sure you get your subscription in right now. Give the video a like if you haven't enjoyed the content. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching the video. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on all of this movement, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.